Chapter 5. Twilight. The mountainside was dangerous. A slip or a trip, and one would fall all the way back down. That wasn't much of a problem for Rainbow Dash or Fluttershy, but for those of us who were earthbound, it made the climb difficult. I looked up the cliffside. The black smoke had nearly vanished by this point, though I could see a few lingering flames create odd flashes of light. "Rainbow, can't you fly up? At least tell us if there's anything dangerous?" Applejack asked. As the most athletic, she was the highest of the mountain, aside from Rainbow, of course, who was fluttering above us. "I already told you," Rainbow retorted. "It's too hot. I can't get very close without scorching my wings." "That was over an hour ago, Rainbow. Surely you can get closer by now." I sighed as Rainbow and Applejack continued bickering. I wasn't that much surprised, though. This whole situation seemed to have every pony on edge. "So, what do you think is up there?" Fluttershy asked quietly. "I don't know. That thing was unlike any celestial object I've ever read about. It looked almost like it had been built by some pony." "Oh, really, Twilight? I have seen my fair share of airships, and I can tell you that thing was not like anything I've ever seen before." Rarity piped up. "I don't see why we're up here so soon anyways. The recent rain has made this path all muddy. Do you know how long it's going to take to get clean after this?" "Pinkie, you're being awfully quiet. Is everything okay?" Fluttershy asked timidly. "I've been thinking, what if that thing was actually a gift from some form of space pony who just wanted to become friends?" she said optimistically. "I just can't think of a good way to have a party for them." "Really, Pinkie? That is just the craziest thing you've said yet. And that's counting everything else you've said," Rainbow said. "Well, do we have any evidence against it?" "Well, no, but then I rest my case. Girls, stop arguing. We're almost there," I shouted, my patience wearing thin by this point. I looked upwards again. The flame seemed to have died out at last, and we were nearing the giant hole the thing had made. It looked like a horde of dragons had raked the mountainside in search of gemstones. The impact site went deep into the solid rock, and the edges of it were warm to the touch. Warily, I glanced into the depression and stared dumbstruck for a few moments. At the base of the crater lay a giant metal bug, although it was bent and twisted from the crash. Its body seemed to be made entirely out of steel. This only served to bring up more questions. What built this thing, and how could it fly? "Oh my! It looks hurt," Fluttershy said, her voice full of concern. "Fluttershy, it was never alive to begin with," I said in an oh-so-obvious tone. A flash of blue shot past me, and before I could blink, Rainbow was standing on top of the weird metal bug. She banged her hooves against it curiously, and the loud echoing noise suggested it was hollowed out inside. "Rainbow, get off of there!" Applejack yelled. "We don't even know if it's safe." "Relax, Applejack. This thing isn't in any condition to do anything," Rainbow shot back, waving a hoof dismissively. The metal object then gave a small groan, causing her to jump back. Rainbow hovered in the air, laughing sheepishly. I meant to do that." Tentatively, we all approached the giant metal bug, with Fluttershy lagging behind. It seemed to just grow larger the more we approached it. I could hear Rarity complaining about the hot ground, but I sighed and tried to tune her out for the time being. Rainbow flew around it a couple times, looking at it intently. "There aren't any windows or doors on this thing." Pinkie gave a disappointed groan. "But how are we supposed to get this special present inside?" Ignoring Pinkie for a moment, I also wondered how we were to get inside. "Maybe we could cut through it somehow." "Twilight, why don't you just teleport us in?" Applejack asked. I shook my head. "No, we don't even know what's inside. And besides that, I don't like teleporting when I can't see where I'm going to end up." With no other option open to us at the moment, we decided to perform a thorough scanning of the ship. At this close proximity, there was no denying that this object was not of pony design. The way the metal had been forged and welded was entirely different. Suddenly, Pinkie began hopping up and down excitedly. I found something, she chanted. The rest of us all came over to examine her findings. At the very back of the object, or at least what seemed like it, were two pieces of metal that weren't fully welded together. From the very thin line that separated them, it looked like one of the pieces was movable. "Well, at least there's a way in," I said optimistically. "Now, how to open it?" Guessy. The first thing I noticed was the sunlight streaming in through the window. It felt warm and comforting against my roach body. At first, I was surprised to be in roach morph, but then the memories came crashing back like a horrific wave. Jake, Marco, Axe, anybody! 5 more minutes, please. Marco, of course. I looked around as best as I could with my roach eyes, but I couldn't see much of anything. The ship itself was dark, save the sunlight streaming in. I could tell from the texture under my feet that I wouldn't behold anything magnificent if I could. Oh man, I can't believe we survived that. Tobias spoke up next. Anyone know how long we've been in Morph? I asked. My internal clock hasn't fully adjusted to this planet's rotation, but I would assume at least 1 of your hours at most. Let's hope you're right. Everyone, demorph, Jake ordered. I concentrated, focusing my thoughts on returning to my human self. I felt bones reforming and gave a relaxed sigh at the knowledge that we could still morph back. After a moment, we were all back in our original forms. Axe fumbled around for the light switch, but when he flipped it, sparks came off. We appear to have damaged the power converter, Axe stated. I can repair it, assuming we can find suitable replacement parts. So, wait, you're telling me this ship won't fly unless we can fix it? Marco asked, a hint of fear in his voice. More importantly, can we even get out? I asked. Without power, how do we open the door? The doors come with a manual disengage, which should pop the hatch off of its frame and allow it to be removed via physical force, Axe said as he moved towards the door. No sooner had he reached it, however, when a loud sound echoed and reverberated through the ship. We all looked up at the caved-in ceiling in anticipation. After a moment without a reply, though, we loosened up. It's fine, probably a rock fell on the roof, that's all, Jake reasoned. We did hit a mountain, after all. As well as whatever that tower was, Rachel said. Yeah, do you think the locals are going to be happy about that? Marco asked. It had totally slipped my mind that we were on an alien planet right now. I crossed my arms, deep in thought. Do you think any of the locals will come to investigate the ship? I asked. I know humans would definitely send someone to search the crash site. Good point. Plus, we don't know how many of them are controllers or not, Jake pointed out. Axe, you open the door and see what's out there. The rest of us will morph battle morphs and be out soon. While Axe began to detach the door, we moved back into the control room. Once there, I focused on my most common battle morph, a wolf. The first thing I felt was the coarse gray fur spread all over my body like a ripple. The bones in my legs cracked and shifted as my nose and mouth extended into the wolf's killing jaws. Long, knife-like teeth slid out between my lips as I watched my hands reform into paws. Soon a Siberian tiger, gorilla, grizzly bear, and a second Andalite came with me to see Axe finally finish his work on the door. He was having difficulty moving it, though, since Andalites aren't the most physically powerful race around. Allow me, Axe, Rachel said happily. With one quick swing of her grizzly bear paw, she plowed the door off effortlessly. The doorway was suddenly filled with fresh sunlight, which really did help to lift my spirits up. And that's when I noticed the smells. It was definitely alien, yet somehow very familiar. There is something definitely here, I said to the others. Jake gave me a small nod. Axe, you're up. Axe cautiously stepped from the ship, his stalk eyes starting in every direction. I do not detect any form of life outside at the moment, he reported. Axe exited the ship, a slight drop down to the ground. Rachel followed him outside, then Marco. I hopped out after them and searched the area, sniffing the air. There was certainly a familiar scent, but I couldn't quite place it. Finally, Jake and Tobias exited and joined us. I perked up my ears. Guys, I hear voices, I told the others. I shifted my gaze towards the back of the ship and stepped towards it slowly. As I neared the corner, I could make out words. Rainbow, do be careful. There's no way you can fit inside that thing. It's simply too small, one voice said, clearly female. Aw, pipe down, Rarity. How do you know you can't do it if you don't try? A second voice, slightly cocky and proud. I don't think this is the best way to get inside that thing anyways, a third voice chimed in, somewhat annoyed at the other two. Yeah, there's gotta be a better way. Just think of what we'll find inside. It could be so much fun, a fourth voice piped up, full of excitement and energy. Deciding I had heard enough, I growled menacingly and rounded the corner, prepared to attack, only to freeze in my tracks. There, standing behind the ship, stood 6 small, brightly colored horses. At my entrance, all 6 turned to stare at me in wonderment. The pink horse smiled and waved a hoof. "Well, hi!" All my thoughts froze in place. The horse spoke to me in perfect English. I slowly turned my gaze over the other horses and felt my eyes widen in disbelief. 2 of the horses sported wings from their backs, one of which was floating above the others. And to add to my shock and amazement, 2 others had horns. I was dimly aware of the others running up behind me. "Holy, what are they?" Marco asked. "They appear to be equine in appearance, but the coloring is quite astounding," Axe responded. "This coming from a bright blue alien centaur," Marco joked. "Oh no, they look angry," the chestnut horse said. I noted she wore a cowboy hat. "Then the only thing to do is to fight." The blue horse spoke up next, and seconds later dashed past us, hitting Axe in the side. The 2 of them fell to the ground in a heap. The blue horse was quick to get up and took to the sky again. Once high enough, she made a dive at Axe. Seconds before impact, however, he whipped his tail blade forward and hit her with its flat edge. The horse went veering off course and crashed into the ground. Behind me, I could hear Rachel give a roar. She ran past me and lunged at the other equines. They all scattered, except for the winged yellow one. She flew up into the air, hanging a few feet off the ground, and stared straight at Rachel. Moments before Rachel hit the horse with one of her paws, the horse spoke up in an unusually strong voice. "No!" And then Rachel did something I never thought she'd do. She froze. The horse's eyes grew large and seemed to be concentrating hard, and every second they did, Rachel seemed to grow more rigid. "Rachel, what's wrong?" I asked privately. I was met with an eerie silence. The yellow horse smiled, floating over to Rachel and petting her on the head. It was all I could do not to laugh at the absurd situation, as Rachel relaxed, letting her arms rest by her side, and leaned into the horse's attentions. "Is she doing what I think she is?" Marco asked. I nodded in reply, and he burst out laughing. "Wait until the guys back home hear this. Mighty Xena bowing to a little horse." "There you go. You don't really want to hurt us, do you, big guy?" the yellow horse cooed softly. The others had all gathered together by this point, though the blue horse looked at Axe with great resentment. "Do you think they came from the bug?" The orange horse spoke softly to the purple-horned one, though my wolf senses could hear her just fine. "Axe, do you think you can speak to them?" Jake asked. "I shall attempt to." "Am I the only one still weirded out that colored horses are talking?" Marco asked. I looked over the horses, a little more relaxed now. They came in several unusual colors, from pink to blue to purple, though the orange, yellow, and white ones were at least what I was accustomed to seeing. Something ate at the back of my mind, however, and I kept looking over the horses, trying to figure out what was so unusual about them, besides the coloring and the talking. I examined them closely, eyeing the wings on the floating ones, and the sharp-looking horns on the purple and white ones. "Oh my God!" I said. What is it?" Tobias asked. I scolded myself, forgetting that they could hear me. "Guys, look at them! Winged and horned horses. They look just like a Pegasus and a unicorn." Whoa, back up. How can they be mythological creatures from Earth? It doesn't seem possible," Marco said, disbelievingly. "It doesn't matter. Right now, we just need to clarify some things," Jake spoke up. "Axe?" Axe stepped in front of the rest of us and began open thought speak. "Greeting, strange equines. My name is..." That was as far as he got before the pink horse popped up in front of him, a huge smile on her face. "Oh, neat! I can hear you in my head. How are you doing that? Are you like a unicorn?" she gasped. "You have 2 horns. Are you a double unicorn? Can you cast twice as many spells? How do you eat without a mouth? What's wrong with your tail?" "I do not believe it is going well, Prince Jake," he said in private speech. "Just do your best, Axe." He turned from us and faced the pink horse again. "I'm not a unicorn, I'm an Andalite. We are..." "Wow, that's a funny name. Is that what you space ponies call yourself? I'm an earth pony. Welcome to Equestria. My name is Pinkie Pie," she gasped again. "We need to have a party and celebrate you coming here." Marco let out another round of laughter. Okay, so not only are they talking horses that look like they just stepped out of a dye factory, but now they have the cheesiest names I've ever heard. Pinky, the purple unicorn spoke up. Give him a chance to talk. Or mind talk, I guess. The technical term is thought speech, Axe said. Now, as I was saying, I'm an Andalite. My name is Aximilias Garalth Esthil. The horses all stared at Axe with dumbfounded expressions on their faces. That certainly is a mouthful, the white unicorn said after a minute. Well, they don't seem to be controllers, Tobias said privately. Otherwise, we'd all be dead right now. I guess, but let's be safe, Jake said. Axe, ask them what they are. If you don't mind me asking, what is your race called? The purple unicorn stepped forward, and I assumed she was the leader of the group. I'm known as a unicorn. You already know Pinky is an earth pony, and Rainbow and Fluttershy, the ones with wings, are both Pegasi. Okay, they even have the same names as we call them on Earth? Marco asked again. Is this all some bizarre dream I'm having? Did I actually die in the spaceship crash? I gave Marco a friendly nudge in the ribs. I guess not. I looked over at Rachel and the yellow Pegasus, which was still petting her gently. Axe? I said, gesturing over to them. Could you please tell your friend to release mine? As soon as he spoke, the yellow Pegasus quickly fluttered back, holding her forehose behind her back and looking quite ashamed of herself. I pondered for a moment as to how she had the dexterity to move her feet like that, but didn't have the time to question it before Rachel started to move again. What? What happened? Oh, you're going to love this, Xena. Not only are we on a world inhabited by colored talking horses, but you were just in the embrace of one for about 10 minutes straight. Marco laughed. What? Rachel asked with a mixture of outrage and shock. I can't wait to tell how the mighty Rachel, fierce battle-hardened warrior, was defeated by a soft, sweet little winged horse. Rachel walked over to Marco and quickly slammed her paw gently into his face. Even so, dental for Rachel still meant pain for Marco. Definitely worth it. Okay, so that was Chapter 5. Unfortunately, Chapters 1 through 5's bloopers is not going to be put up until this computer problem is solved. I found something that might help my dad do it, but I'm not going to do it myself because I do not want to mess it up. And it is like 1:15 a.m. Not an appropriate time to do it. Also, yesterday, which is March 15th, is actually my 1-year broniversary. That's what I call it. A year ago, I first tried MLP and fell in love with it, and here I am today. So that's nice. I was going to tell my parents yesterday because it was my broniversary, and then I chickened out, and I'm disappointed in myself for that. But anyway, let's not talk about me. Let's talk about this chapter. A lot of the pacing and a lot of the conversation was really well done. There are some pretty good parts of this. Let me see, what am I looking for? What part was it? I'm not sure where it was. I'm not sure what I'm thinking of right now. But there was one part that I had something to say about. I'm not sure what it was. Hold on, let me find it. Well, while I find it, I would like to point out that Tobias is actually how it's pronounced. And I realized that immediately after I first recorded the first chapter. In fact, the first time I said his name in the first chapter, I said it Tobias, like an idiot. And I knew, like, right after I got that take done, I was like, it's Tobias. I know it's Tobias. And then I actually checked, I think, after chapter 4, and it is Tobias. And I feel stupid now for pronouncing it Tobias, even though I knew immediately after it was Tobias. But I'm going to pronounce it Tobias from now on. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's where it was. Where it says a fourth voice piped up, full of excitement and energy. just a little bit of an awkward phrasing there. If I had written this, I probably would have put it as a fourth voice full of excitement and energy piped up, or something along those lines, where it would make more sense. It's just an opinion, but, other than that, as always, this chapter is really good, and I really like it. And for those of you who haven't read past this point, it still gets better. This isn't even the best. This isn't even its peak in quality. It gets better. I don't even... From what I've read, which is still the first 23 chapters, it doesn't peak in quality. It's really good throughout what I've read so far. And I doubt it gets bad throughout any of the 50 chapters that it has. The ending was really good. I love that part. I just love it. It was great. Honestly, a lot of this chapter was really good, and I don't have much to say about it other than just that tiny little detail. I might have rephrased that, but it's just really good. Also, for some reason, I pronounce it equine, even though I know it's equine. Something along those lines. I'm gonna have to look that up, on Google Translate, right now. On Google Translate, apparently. Because that's how I type. Because, I look at Google Translate for pronunciation. Okay, so it's equine. Okay, fine to know. Anyway, hope you guys are... actually, no, I'm not done yet. You guys can leave at this point if you want. This is just a little bit of an update. As it turns out, this computer is not working whatsoever for logging on to the administrator user, so I can't access my files for Curse of the War Pony 2, Chapter 2, or the blooper files for this. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to wait until this problem is resolved to get those up. So, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about everything. But for now, Curse of the War Pony 2 is on hiatus. So, I'm sorry for that. So, in its place, I'll be reading Short Story Fix and obviously this one. So, I apologize for you guys who are looking forward to Curse of the War Pony 2. Personally, I'm glad, because I don't know, it's just a matter of opinion. It's not that it's a bad story, I just don't like shipping. That's all it is. I just don't like shipping. That's all it is. Not to offend anybody who does like shipping, but I just don't. It's just a matter of opinion. If you guys like shipping, that's fine. Also, on the update video, I said I don't like Call of Duty. That's also a matter of opinion. If you like Call of Duty, I'm not going to judge. I don't care if you like Call of Duty. If you don't, that's fine. If you do, that's also fine. If you don't care either way, that's also fine. If you hate Call of Duty to the core, that's fine with me. I don't care. It's fine. We're all good. Till then, this is me signing out. Peace!